All right, and welcome back to our next incident tracking video. So this is the last of the basic videos. The next videos will be a little bit more sophisticated. There, we will be talking about grouping based on relation learning. We'll be talking about statistical grouping, and we'll be talking about grouping on custom properties. So that's a little bit more sophisticated and advanced. In this video, we're just going to be talking about the computational resources that are needed and about the basic configurations that you can do in Cube to tweak incident tracking to your liking. All right, let's dive in. So where can we find the configuration settings? Well, it's again at the usual location in the System Center where you find the configuration options of all the analytics features. Okay, what are the configuration options? Well, first of all, you can choose whether or not you want to activate incident tracking. So you can enable or disable. Next, you can specify a leader DataMiner ID of choice. What do I mean with this? Well, incident tracking automatically groups alarms, right? But to do that, it needs to know about all the alarms in the system and not just the alarms on one agent. That's why there is one specific DataMiner agent, we call that the leader, that performs all the work for automatic incident tracking. The other agents do nothing. We just use one agent, and this one does all the work and has full visibility on all the alarms in the system. It is, of course, clever to fill in here a DataMiner ID of a DataMiner that doesn't use a lot of resources. But all in all, as we will discuss later, it's also not a requirement, as automatic incident tracking doesn't use too much resources. Okay, what about the other settings? Well, the maximum time interval refers to what I mentioned a few videos ago. Remember that automatic incident tracking only groups alarms if they occur within 10 minutes of each other, right? Now, you can tweak that setting. You can, for example, set it to 1 hour, and in that case, automatic incident tracking can group alarms even if they are 1 hour apart. I wouldn't recommend you do this because this will also make your alarm groups bigger. So I think 10 minutes is the perfect option. The next setting is the maximum group size. Here, the idea is that if you create alarm groups that are too large, then the feature is not very helpful anymore, right? Ideally, if something happens, we group the symptoms together. But if you have more than 1,000 symptoms, more than 1,000 alarms, you can't really say that this gives you a nice overview of what's going on. Yeah, that's why you can restrict your maximum group size to 1,000. You can also make it bigger if you want. Finally, we have the maximum group events rate. This is a parameter that we included just to cover our asses, if you want. You can maybe think of some hypothetical cases where we can create a lot of alarm groups in a very short time. And maybe this can cause a bit too much of a load on the system, and we don't want that, right? So the maximum group events rate, what is it? It's the maximum number of alarm groups that can be created per second. And we've restricted it to 100. If more alarms come in, we just simply do not create alarm groups from them. Okay, now let's talk a little bit more about the prerequisites and the resources that you will need. Prerequisites, well, you will need alarm focus. Maybe you remember that alarm grouping or incident tracking can only group focused alarms with focused alarms and unfocused alarms with unfocused alarms. So it really needs this alarm focus filter. Next, what about the memory? Well, memory-wise, we're doing really good. All of the memory, CPU usage that is used will be used by the leader DataMiner. The other agents don't use anything. Now, what do we keep in memory? We keep in memory the active alarms, and that's it. So that's not so much. Okay, it's maybe thousands of alarms, but speaking in terms of megabytes and stuff, this is not so much. That's the only memory resources that are required. What about computational load? Well, again, here I have good news. The computational load is ignorable. An incoming alarm is compared to the most recent alarms, at least the alarms that occurred in the last 10 minutes, to see if the incoming alarm should be grouped with this alarm, this recent alarm. But okay, on nowadays computers, this goes really, really fast. The only thing that is maybe something you should keep in mind, because this is important to know, is this final point right here. For every group that you detect, we create an alarm group. And this alarm group in itself is actually an alarm. This means that actually you're creating in the background more alarms than you had originally, right? And this is interesting to know, because this also means that your database will contain more alarms, right? So this is something that maybe is interesting to keep in mind. If you notice that you have really a lot of database problems with respect to the alarm table, then maybe you should say, is this related to incident tracking? I can try to switch it off, and then if it doesn't change anything, I can switch it on again, or things like this. So this is, I think, the only thing that you should keep in mind. The rest, we're definitely fine. All right, I think I can conclude here on this incident tracking subject. Maybe here that you can try it out for yourself. And this is actually true for all of our features, right? If you have a feature and you want to try it out and you have some feedback for us, well, hey, we love the feedback, right? There's one email address, ai@skyline.be, and there you can let us know. We love positive feedback and we love negative feedback as well, because this really gives us a way to improve ourselves, right? And we really want to know what you guys need in the field so that we can help you as best as we can. All right, so that was the basic stuff, up to the more advanced stuff. See you in the next video.